Hey, all listeners, welcome to a new episode dropping early this week of the 412 Sports Talk podcast. I am your host, Eddie Provident. With me, as always, is my man, Mad Chad Nolan. Mad Chad has got to be reveling this week. And before we get into why, I want to shout out for MCM Studios, 412mcmstudios.com, at 412mcm studios, at Mike Hit with two T's, Mike Hitman. Just want to shout out our sponsors as always. Want to thank them for supporting the show. Go check them out online. If you are anybody that would be in need of any kind of audio recording, any kind of studio time, you can book time on their website. Again, that's 412mcmstudios.com. Mention me, mention Chad, mention the podcast. Get 15% off your first hour of recording with them. Again, shout out to Mike Hit and 412mcmstudios.com. So Chad, you're like, before we get into anything hockey related, we've got Jay Fresh Hockey on the show today, which is going to be a great interview. I'm so excited to have him on the show. But before we get into any of that, your arch nemesis took an L today, and took an L hard, from friend of the show, DK, Dejan Kovakovic's arch nemesis. So there's this three-way thing going on in Pittsburgh sports media. And one Todd Frazier levied a big blow to Mark Madden today. And I'll let you take it from there, and then I'll give my 2 cents on it.
I mean, I see both sides of this, but here's the thing. So a lot of people are going to right away, and you might fall into this category, say, well, Todd Frazier should be the professional. He's the professional athlete. Dejan and Mark Madden get paid for their opinions, and they do. But, there's only so much a person can take. In all due respect to Dejan, he knows I respect Dejan, and we talk, and I consider him not a friend, but a good acquaintance. And, I DM him about stuff, and he comes on the show, and he helps promote our show.
If you're trying to make your way in the Pittsburgh sports media, he's one of the guys you look up to, or at least one of the guys you aspire to be like.
But dude has, let's be honest, he's trolled Todd Frazier this whole time. I can argue that that's been unprofessional. I can absolutely argue that that's been unprofessional. Then you got Mark Madden. Now, Mark Madden said something about Todd Frazier before Todd Frazier said something about Mark Madden. Then Todd Frazier, he's not an employee of the Pirates anymore, so he probably feels like I can say whatever the hell I want now, because he got DFA'd, and he came at Mark Madden hard, calling him a slob, and put a picture of Mark. I mean, Mark Madden is a slob. Anyone listening to this show knows how I feel. I don't give a shit. Like, to be honest, I really don't. I don't care. Or what? Think our sponsor is going to be like, hey, Chad said this? Like, no, like he probably thinks it's hilarious, and I feel that way. Yeah. Like, my whole thing with Mark is that with Dejan, it's personal, because him and Todd Frazier personally have a rift. With Mark Madden, he's just trying to use Todd Frazier as content. Mm-hmm. That's it. So screw you and your content. Like, to me, Mark Madden's the epitome of a bully, when he thinks he can say whatever he wants about whoever he wants. And trust me, because I've been in Todd Frazier's place, and Mark Madden came at me and said that he hopes that my son disappears. So guess what? You're going to come at me like that? I said something about his dead mother. Next thing you know, he's crying on Twitter. Oh, you're right. Oh, he said something about my dead mother. Well, guess what? You said something about you said my son should go missing. And that's what happens when you deal with Mark Madden, is when you punch him back, he cries. And I can't stand that. To me, that makes you a coward.
Yeah, and that's exactly how I feel about Mark. I before I get into the Mark Madden, Todd Frazier stuff, I will say this about the DK Todd Frazier thing. And unless I'm remembering this wrong, and maybe we could try to get DK on in the next couple weeks, and we could razz him about all this. Because at the end of the day, I don't think any of this is very serious. I mean, it's just something to talk about, really. But anyways, my point with DK and Todd Frazier, if I'm not mistaken, DK was hard on the Pirates for signing him, and then hard on the Pirates for, calling him up. And Todd Frazier took that personal, and
which is wrong because Dejan's just doing his job.
And I think that's when it crossed the line for Dejan, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, Todd Frazier called him Honey Dejan.
That's funny to me.
Yeah, it's funny. But I mean, like, and so from that point on, I think DK figured, okay, well, if this is how it's going to be, this is how it's going to be. And Todd Frazier didn't back it up on the field. And that's on Todd Frazier. He went 1 for 31 this season. Think about that, Chad. 1 for 31. And so if you're going to talk smack like he did to DK, and at that point, all DK did was do his job. Maybe he was a little harsh, but he did his job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's where I stand on that. Now, again, if you're gonna be harsh in the sports media in this day and age, when players have the ability to fire back on Twitter, you need to be ready for that as a writer as well. And I think DK was, and I don't think that, like I said, I don't think anything between DK and Todd Frazier was like over the top terrible or over the top bad or like eye popping, like I replied to DK the other day and was like, hey, could they just start using the DH for Todd Frazier? And then but then today happens with Mark Madden. And look, I'm not Todd Frazier's biggest fan because I think he took things too personal, and that's fine. That's whatever.
When you go 1 for 31, I mean...
And here's the thing. I don't dislike Todd Frazier. I thought it was a good signing. I thought he'd be entertaining. He had that video in spring training where he hit the double while he was mic'd up, and I thought it was a lot of fun. Like, I don't have anything personally against the guy. I think he's fine. I think he's an older baseball player. That's what it comes down to. I thought what was great was Mark Madden, as you said, tried to use him for content and got absolutely ripped a new one. I think my quote tweet on that today was, he has 1 home run all season, and this is the home run, was what he said about Mark Madden. It is what it is. Like, Mark Madden had, to me, and I don't even want to spend a lot of time talking about the guy, but he has lost all, like, benefit of a doubt or any kind of goodwill that I would give somebody, or any kind of, look, everyone knows I don't need to keep repeating this on the show. I'm a pastor. I'm a man of God. I'm a Christian. I try to be like Jesus in my day-to-day life. I'm very slow to judge people, or at least I hope I am. And I really try to give people second and third chances and like really try to be that way. But Mark Madden, time and time again, has just been nasty, and
he's gotten worse too.
Terrible human.
Because he's bored. Because he's bored, and because he knows that his time's at an end.
I mean, I'm trying to find it, and I can't find it right now, and I'm not going to keep scrolling much longer. But I think it was last week, one of our good friends on Twitter, Zach Smith from Around the 412.
Mm-hmm.
Smitty had a back and forth with him, and he was calling Smitty names, and he was
right away.
Right, and Smitty was like, "See, this is exactly it. You actually are good at what you do." But rather than using that to cultivate young people and mentor them and bring new people into the fold and into Pittsburgh sports media, you use it to be, a jerk, and you use it to be a jagoff, and you use it to be little people, and you're just nasty, and you're just not a good person.
I'll take it a step further. I don't actually think he is good at his job anymore. When Mark Madden at one point was a talented radio host, I'm talking about like back in the early 2000s when he was on ESPN radio and he had like segments. What he did was he bit off Howard Stern a lot, but it doesn't matter. It was still an entertaining show. When I try to listen to his show now, unless he has a really good guest on, he just comes off as bored and spiteful. He's spiteful towards anyone that thinks that they can make a living doing this, which is hilarious, because you and I have made some money and gotten some merchandise and stuff, and we do this as a hobby. So to us, it's even more hilarious when he's like threatened by people like us, when we're like, hey, we're just doing this as a hobby, and if we make money, we make money.
Dude, I got a full-time job, man. Then there's a full-time job.
There's people on the other spectrum who do make a living doing this, but they might not be where he's at. But bro, you've been doing it for 35 years. And he also did it at a time where, like, nowadays, just because you can buy a camera and a microphone and broadcast to YouTube, that it's great that you have that. We have that ability. But what happens is so many people do it. Good luck trying to stand out. And I don't think he would. And I'm over. Listen, I'm in my 30s now. I'm over the shock jock stuff. I'm over the Skip Baylesses. I'm over the Mark Maddens, the Colin Dunlaps of the world, who their whole thing is trying to be edgy. And when you try to be edgy, there's some people out there, there's some comedians and actors and stuff that they are edgy, and that's just how they.
And
Dave Chappelle is a perfect example. Dave Chappelle is a perfect example. He's edgy without trying to be edgy. He just is. But like when you're like in this tough guy persona, I mean, I'm not falling for it anymore. I've seen a guy in public. Like, no, bro, he ain't beating up anybody. He's going to call the cops if you try to fight him. And I'm just over that. To me, and I hear people all the time praising him. Oh, he's so good at his hockey analysis. Listen to our show. Listen to the segment that's coming up with Jay Fresh. And go listen to him talk about hockey. And it is night and day. Right. It's night and day.
And here's the thing, Chad. Like, this is, like you said, you're over the shock jock thing, and I'm with you 100%. This is, like, where I'm at in life right now. Sports is an outlet, and we've talked about this all throughout the pandemic. Sports is an outlet for me to escape for a little while. It's fun. It's enjoyment, right? Like, I go to sports because I enjoy it. And what I'll give you a couple of names of people. Like, if you're somebody who listens to Mark Madden because, like, and this, my dad fell into this, into this category. He didn't particularly like Mark Madden because Mark Madden was just like a nasty person, and he's always miserable. But he enjoyed the fact that he spotlighted hockey.
Right.
Like that was what my dad enjoyed. That on the way home, he could at least listen to some kind of hockey talk.
And to be honest, there is nobody else in the local market that covers hockey that way.
I respect.
Also,
here's my point with this and I'll let you go. If that's the only reason why you're listening to Mark Madden, okay? The first name locally that comes to mind that has a show and is talking exclusively Penguins hockey is Hunter Hodes, Locked On Penguins podcast. Check him out. Check out Danny Shirey Irving. We've had him on before. You had Hunter on before. We've had Hunter on before. Check out Danny and his YouTube channel and his breakdowns. Check out what he's doing. Check out Jay Fresh and go on his Patreon. We're going to talk to him later on in the show. Check out Jesse Marshall and what Dying Alive.
Yeah,
Dying Alive. Yeah,
he actually messaged us and said that he's going to talk about doing a crossover.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're more like in the you like hockey but you like other sports too, check out Zach and what's the other dude? I always forget the other
Tyler.
Zach and Tyler. Sorry, Tyler. You can blast me on Twitter for that. But check out the boys from around the 412. Check out Yinshers. There are so many good content creators in the city of Pittsburgh right now. And Cody Coleman and I were just talking about this in our DMs the other day. One of the things about this little Pittsburgh sports community that I love, every single person in it is here to like boost everyone else. I love it, and I think it's fantastic, and I think it's a great thing. And if that's the only reason why you listen to Mark Madden is because he talks about Penguins hockey, I challenge you to check out any one of those people we just listed, and give them a listen, check them out, and I guarantee you won't be sorry that you did it.
Yeah, last thing about that's the funny thing about he knows hockey, but like when you actually go investigate his takes on hockey, there's no nuance to it whatsoever. It's just, this is my opinion and this is why I'm right and I'm the super genius. And then but Evgeny Malkin sucks. Like, wait a minute, you're what? I mean, the dude said that the Penguins should trade Evgeny Malkin for David Backes. My God, that's what you go to for your hockey takes.
Yep.
All his takes are based on who comes on his show and who doesn't.
Yeah.
If you come on his show, you're good. If you don't come on my show, you're bad. Imagine if we had those views.
Yep. It just sucks that
he denies the analytics. Media. He denies the analytics. Here's why. Because there's no nuance to his takes. So player A is bad because I said so. Oh, wait a minute. Actually, here's a plethora of objective data showing why you're wrong. Oh, analytics are stupid and you're stupid. Listen, if that's how you want to get information, that's fine. But I'm not in that school of thought. I was wrong about Mike Matheson this year.
Yeah.
And I have no problem saying that because I don't go on freaking social media and declare myself a goddamn genius. I know hockey, and I think a lot of people come to me for my hockey takes. But guess what? I reach out to Jay Fresh and Jesse Marshall and Sean Tierney and a bunch of other guys, and I look and I read information, and then I go watch the sport, and I put two and two together. That is actually analyzing the game. And that's fine if you want shock jock stuff, but to me, those days are over, and I think he knows that.
Yeah, and it's just, again, it's a shame that he's the guy on Pittsburgh sports radio right now, and you know it's kind of disheartening because you know the X was always the channel I listened to in high school. God. You know,
back when Howard Stern was on, they used to play Howard Stern, and I used to listen to Howard Stern in the morning.
And it's a shame that the X will not cut ties with him. You know, I don't know what it is. Maybe it is a rating.
He has connections. He has connections, and a lot of people are. By the way, a lot of people, especially a lot of people that work in that business, are afraid of him because they don't want to burn that bridge. Because let's be honest, if you're a reporter in Pittsburgh and you go on the Mark Madden show, you're going to get a bump probably in your followers and stuff like that. But when he's done, you're going to have some people come out and say some shit about him. I guarantee it. Yeah,
and I mean, you know, it is what it is. Like I said, we've talked about him long enough already. You know, it's not that he's Voldemort or anything. It's just he's not worth to me. It's not worth the time and the energy. And I hate that we have to keep dealing with this. And it was just funny to see Todd Frazier.
That's hilarious.
And I mean, yeah, it was absolutely hysterical. So that's pretty much it for the first segment. There's not a lot going on in the football world right now. Tim Tebow got signed. I don't know that anyone cares. That's really about it. We're going to get into all the Penguins hockey talk. Penguins won the division. Caps fans are mad because of injuries, even though the Penguins had like twice the amount of man games lost than them. So who knows? It's a wild time to be alive in the NHL. I'm excited for it. We are going to take a quick break, and then we're going to have Jay Fresh Hockey to talk about analytics, talk about Jack Johnson, talk about the Penguins playoff outlook, and everything in between. So hang out for a couple minutes, take a break, and we'll be right back with Jay Fresh.